What the hell, man? That doesn't even work. That's only in fairy tale. Yo, my name is Yap Chong Sing, and when I was a little kid, I loved to watch Disney films and dreamed to be a Disney princess when I grow up. Today, I will show you the world of princess, and we can be pretty princess together. In this review, we will be focusing on the early Disney princess films during the golden age of Disney, which includes Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. So, for the comparison between Disney and the fairy tale. Disney princess stories are often adapted from fairy tales, with a darker tone in general, much more graphic than what Disney pumps it up to be, as they are more family friendly. Snow White is the first full-length Disney animated feature film inspired by a 19th century German fairy tale. The difference being, at the end, the prince orders the witch to wear a pair of red hot iron slippers and dance in them until she dies. And as the Disney is catered to kids like me, they had to bail it down when killing the queen. So she fell off a cliff, making it her fault, so it's more fair. There are tons of adaptations inspired by Snow White. For example, the 2012 Snow White and the Huntsman, which takes an interesting turn of event as the hunter decide to help Snow White instead. And in the Disney Sleeping Beauty, Princess Aurora is put to sleep after she pricks her finger on the spindle. She sleeps for 100 years until a prince arrives, kisses and awakens her. They fall in love, marry, and live happily ever after. But the original tale is not as sweet as Princess Aurora in the Disney films. And so, Princess Aurora is put to sleep because of a prophecy instead of a curse. And it isn't the kiss of a prince which wakes her up. Instead, the king seeing her asleep, and rather fancying her a bit, rapes her. She gives birth to 2 children while she is still asleep. One of her children sucks her finger, which removes the piece of flesh which was keeping her asleep. She wakes up to find herself raped and the mother of 2 children. While for Cinderella, the story is about a young woman living in unfortunate circumstances that are suddenly changed to remarkable fortune. In the original fairy tale, however, in the end, the 2 stepsisters cut their heels and toes off, and their eyes got pecked out. Other than that, fairy godmothers is replaced by magical birds. Cinderella's name is originally Ella. The reason her name is Cinderella is because she is always covered in cinder. Comparison between the 3 princes in the story. Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty and Snow White are similar as the princess being woken up by a kiss from a prince. These Disney princesses have the stereotype of being rescued by a prince. And let's talk about gender inequality. Disney princesses in the films have portrayed women as weak and men as the strong one, and men are the one who always come in to save females. So that is the gender inequality. And among all 3 princes, only Sleeping Beauty is born into royalty, while Cinderella and Snow White were commoners before being married into the royalty. They meet with problems along the way before meeting with the prince. Snow White got poisoned by an apple. Sleeping Beauty got cursed by a needle. Cinderella was poor and locked in a home. So the Disney villains are bad. for vain reasons, as the evil queen in Snow White is just jealous and she is not the fairest of them all. Cinderella's stepmom, being afraid that Cinderella will outshine her daughters in the royal ball, she wants her daughter to marry the royalty instead. While Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty is due to the anger for not receiving an invitation to Christianization of the newborn princess. Luckily, Disney realized what makes an interesting princess more than parties and beauty. Elsa from Frozen was originally supposed to be an antagonist, rewritten to be more sympathetic. Comparison between Disney and present princesses. In recent years, Disney princesses has taken over a new theme of self-discovery and independence. From Disney Princess Vanellope, from Wreck-It Ralph to Elsa from Frozen. Back in those days, Disney princess films are about kindness and genuinity. Other than that, princesses during that time are portrayed to be white and fair due to the black discrimination in society. Currently, when people become more accepting towards the other races, princess like Moana is incorporated into being a Disney princess. It really shows how much the society have evolved ever since 1970s. Moana and the modern society. Discrimination towards people of different colors is not as obvious as before during the 1970s. I personally like strong and independent people, such as the yellow bitch, Mulan! My princess! Oh yes! Oh! 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 Wow! 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 Comparison between the prince. Princesses from the golden age of Disney are depicted as elegant and refined, unlike princesses down the line such as Mulan, Moana, and the Princess Vanellope, who are far from elegant. In all Disney films, besides Frozen's, the prince or the male lead often plays out as the hero who saves the princess from dangers and suffering. The prince from the golden age are all royalties and very handsome, and is typically seen riding a horse. They only show up towards the end of the movie without playing a big role. Snow White and Cinderella's prince who only appear to kiss and marry the princess. One prince that is different is Sleeping Beauty's Prince Philip, who fought a dragon to save his princess. However, putting it in another perspective, Prince Charming from Cinderella is a man who only cares about physical beauty, and he can't even recognize Cinderella when she wasn't in her designer's gown. Prince Florian from Snow White is a lazy, sexual predator. He only shows up to take all the credits and kiss Snow White's lifeless body without her permission after the dwarfs chase away the evil queen. Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty is a master manipulator who preys on young girls. He's 7 years older than 16 years old Aurora. In my opinion, Snow White was too blunt. In order to meet the criteria of being the fairest of them all, she has to be perfect, which gives her no room for character development and limiting her. She is painfully dull in comparison with enriched personality of the 7 dwarfs: Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, Dopey, Dog, whose names are detailed and show their true core traits. They show more personality and appears to be more human than Snow White and her prince. What if Disney princesses after Happily Ever After was shown?
끝이 온단 말을 해도 언젠가 헤어진다 해
I'm making food here, you drink alcohol, you don't even do shit and care about the family. What the hell have you been doing? I didn't marry you for this shit. Why did you even marry a fool like you? You think I want to marry